Talking point platform. TTPTV. Oh yeah. Unale we pledge with love and loyalty to we sweet mama salute. Now we all come together as one for tomorrow. Now we go make salute.
Political parties, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and delight to advise today's proceedings will be conducted by the government of His Excellency the President, and it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Emmanuel Gaima to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Press Secretary. His Excellency the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Brigadier Dr. Julius Manabil, the Honorable Vice President, the leader of the All People's Congress Party, Cabinet Ministers, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, senior government officials, members from civil society, the media, good afternoon. I want to join the Press Secretary in welcoming you to State House. I have the privilege now to kindly request that we call the presence of God in our midst, and I will kindly request individual silent prayers. Amen and amen. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege again to call upon the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone to give us a welcome, as well as to inform us about the purpose for our being here through a declaration. The Honorable Vice President, my privilege, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the leader of the All People's Congress Party and his team, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First, Your Excellency, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for taking the bold step to establish the Electoral Systems Review Committee with the objectives: one, to review the prevailing legal framework related to institutional and operational arrangement to deliver elections. Second, propose key reforms for institutionalizing the recommendations of that committee to enhance the operations of the entire electoral architecture in Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, this appreciation is in large part in view of the fact that, given my experiences in organizing elections since the year 2000, when I was recruited to work for the United Nations in Kosovo, that over the years, moving across Europe and part of Sub-Saharan Africa, that every time and always there has been problematic challenges in most countries, particularly with regard to electoral systems review. Essentially because most times countries shy away from it and usually leave it or allow development partners, particularly if it is in Sub-Saharan Africa, the UNDP, to drive such reforms. If it is in Europe, the Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe, to drive electoral reforms. The reason being that every time a government intends or wants to touch the electoral architecture, the opposition will interpret it in another way. That is why most governments shy away from it. And most time, when you have outside players, usually or in a large part, development partners or organizations like OSCE approach electoral strategic systems reform, they usually approach it from the angle of functional review. So what we have seen over the years since 1991, 92 to to 1996, when the Independent Electoral Commission was established in this country, what has been done regularly over that decade is functional review, and most times supported by our development partners. In such cases, attention is focused entirely on the operational efficiency of electoral commissions, not the entire electoral system that is vital to delivering free, fair, peaceful, inclusive, and lately what we call non-contested elections. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, over the years, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, electoral analyses have expanded. In the 90s, when they started organizing elections, they were essentially referred to as multi-party elections. A couple of years down the line, they attached the word free and fair elections. And when elections became sources of violence, another adjective was added, peaceful election. And when stakeholders realized that for you to have peaceful election, it has to be inclusive, then we added inclusive elections. Become multi-party, free and fair, peaceful elections, and then inclusive elections. Today, election analysts across the world are grappling with a new terminology called non-contested elections. While it is very difficult to measure that one, today the defining indicators revolves around essentially 4 things when it comes to electoral analysis. One is the rules and regulations that establish the process for going into elections. Second is the processes and structures that determine how, for example, those committees that were established, including EMBs, electoral management bodies. The third aspect is polling day. What happens on polling day? And then the fourth aspect usually is the what we call post-election institutions. That is the institutions that comes out of an election, whether they are inclusive or whether they meet and they tend to reinforce national cohesion. Your Excellency, to deliver the following, it involves key agencies and actors that constitute the electoral system, key amongst which is the election management bodies, security sector, civil society organizations, the judiciary, development partners, in most times, and then observers. How these key players work, relate, understand their roles and responsibilities is vital. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this explains why when election observers produce their report, they usually make references to the judiciary. And then the fourth aspect usually is the what we call post-election institutions. That is the institutions that comes out of an election, whether they are inclusive or whether they meet and they tend to reinforce national cohesion. Your Excellency, to deliver the following, it involves key agencies and actors that constitute the electoral system, key amongst which is the election management bodies, security sector, civil society organizations, the judiciary, development partners, in most times, and then observers. How these key players work, relate, understand their roles and responsibilities is vital. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this explains why when election observers produce their report, they usually make references to the judiciary, the police, that is the security sector, CSO, commissions, political parties, and the PPRC, because they constitute what we call an electoral system. The focus of the review, Your Excellency, is to look at this system, assess both its functional capacity and operational support role to deliver credible elections. The review, therefore, is expected to assess evaluate the electoral architecture in Sierra Leone with the view to improve the institutional capacities of the entities through legal and institutional reforms. Your Excellency, the beauty about this exercise is that we have decided to do it together, particularly with the All People's Congress Party. That is the beauty. This means together we will do the assessment, together we will review, and together we will make recommendations that will set the roadmap reforms. This is an inclusive approach to electoral systems review. Usually, Sierra Leone has been prided around the world as a very tolerant country when it comes to religion. I think today we are exhibiting electoral tolerance. For the first time in this part of sub-Saharan Africa, to have equal membership of the opposition party and ruling party coming together to engage electoral system review. That is the beauty about this exercise. This means we will have an inclusive reform roadmap that will seek to modernize Sierra Leone's electoral system. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as the father of democracy in this country, I know your passion and desire to build a viable, resourceful electoral system to deliver transparent and peaceful elections. And I want to reassure you, Your Excellency, that launching of the National Electoral System and Management Review is a good starting point to realize that wish. I thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, for setting the tone and making us know why we are here. Review, recommend, and reform. Excellency, the President, Honorable Vice President, and the leader of the APC, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, a small deviation on the program, on the card. People in the media says there's often a devil in the print room. So the devil was in the print room at the government printing department this afternoon. And so instead of the All People's Congress, we have the plus 3 strokes. But I want to report that I have sought permission and excuse from the leadership of the APC, and Dr. Samura Kamara and team have overlooked it graciously, and we thank them in advance for continuing to appreciate that it was an error. At this point, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 core statements to make, and I will start with a critical development partner, and this is going to be the resident coordinator of the United Nations Systems in Sierra Leone. Ladies and gentlemen, join me welcome Dr. Ahunsi.
Thank you, Chairperson. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada, Honorable Vice President, Chief Minister, distinguished Dr. Samura Kamara, National Leader of the All People's Congress, esteemed members of the Electoral Systems Review Committee, honorable members of Parliament, honorable ministers and representatives of state institutions, commissioners and members of the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, Excellencies, members of Diplomatic and Consular Corps, colleagues from the UN and civil society organizations, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be here today at this official launch by His Excellency President Julius Maada of the Independent Cross-Party Committee on Electoral Systems and Management Bodies Review, which is one of the provisions of the Agreement for National Unity signed on 18th October 2023 between the government and the All People's Congress. The promotion of unity and national cohesion is very important after a very divisive electoral campaign and an equally divisive post-election period. We should therefore commend the step made by the opposition party to return to governance and we should particularly commend His Excellency the President for the commitment made in his national address of 24th October 2023 to give the highest consideration to the implementation of the agreement. As stated by His Excellency the President in his address to the nation, reviewing the electoral system is critical to strengthening Sierra Leone's democracy. Indeed, the intended examination of the electoral systems, structures, and processes that will be conducted by this committee, once coupled with impactful electoral reforms, will help to further strengthen institutions and sustain democratic governance in Sierra Leone. The United Nations has committed to supporting the implementation of the Agreement for National Unity in response to the request of His Excellency, the President, and that of the APC by one, representing development partners in the three-way leadership of the Independent Cross-Party Committee on Electoral Systems and Management Bodies Review. Two, participating in the team of moral guarantors. And three, providing the requisite technical assistance to the implementation of the committee's recommendations in collaboration with development partners and on our own side, the Department of Political and Peace-Building Affairs and the Electoral Assistance Division under the leadership of the Special Representative of the Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel. As we welcome the inauguration of the committee today, we also look forward to the full implementation of the Agreement for National Unity, including the establishment of the inter-party dialogue framework, the return of the people displaced due to political violence to their communities, the release of individuals as agreed by both government and the opposition, and the isolation of any individual who continues to incite violence and hate speech. To this end, we would like to take this opportunity to call on both the ruling and opposition parties to jointly contribute to continue to diffuse tensions in communities across the country, preach cohesion and unity, and explicitly and consistently counter divisive ethno-regional discourse and hate speech that has prevailed during the electoral period and to some extent beyond. It's our hope that all stakeholders will continue to strive to keep the spirit of the Agreement for National Unity alive. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, the resident coordinator, and noted the recognition for the President's honoring of his commitments. The government and the APC also notes the commitment of the DPs to accompany the process. The government also notes that additional 5 outstanding resolutions are being monitored closely. Thank you very much. Excellency, the President, the Honorable Vice President, leader of the APC and team, it gives me my pleasure to invite the leader of the All People's Congress Party, Dr. Samura Kamara. My honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Dr. Kamara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the event. Mr. President of the Republic, Honorable Vice President, United Nations Resident Representative, members of Parliament, Cabinet Ministers, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, co-chairs and members of the Tripartite Committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans. Today, we are taking another giant step in carrying forward what President Bill and I agreed in order to find a peaceful resolution to the political stalemate following the contested outcome of the June 24, 2023 multi-tier elections. The resulting inter-party dialogue is arguably the most peaceful and multi-stakeholder out-of-court settlement. It is also proving to us that as political leaders of our time, we must advise ourselves that not all fights require guns, violence, knives, broken bottles, mamikos, plenty spin, and political masking and hypocrisy. Good fights require only wisdom, tolerance, mutual respect, and patriotism. Experience suggests that there are no easy catch-all solutions to the difficulties we face in deciding how to handle deceitful, dissembling politics and economic management. There is, however, no room for complacency or despair. Here today, we are making history. Permit me to express my gratitude to the parties to the agreement, namely the government of Sierra Leone and the All People's Congress, for demonstrating a willingness to implement the agreement reached at the Bintumani dialogue. I also extend my thanks to the development partners and other moral guarantors, including the African Union, ECOWAS, and the Commonwealth, for the valuable guidance during the negotiations. It is through such collaboration and dialogue that we can strive to address the political interests and welfare of our people. Without any doubt, I can regrettably state that the political impasse that emerged after our June 24th elections has had devastating effects on our lives and the global perception on our democracy. As we launch the tripartite committee today, I would like to emphasize the importance of focusing on the dictates and contents of the dialogue agreement, which means that our June 24th elections are not yet over until they are over. The importance of having clearly defined and jointly agreed terms of reference by the parties to the committee cannot be overemphasized. The terms of reference will guide us in analyzing and understanding the allegations by the opposition APC party and several other stakeholders of electoral rigging malpractices made on the June 24th election processes, as well as the failure of the ECSL to publish the disaggregated election results. As the agreement clearly states, in Resolution 3, it is equally crucial that we determine the veracity and extent of any electoral irregularities, manipulations, or malpractices that may have also occurred during previous elections. The overarching goals are first, to unravel the truth in the June 24, 2023 election cycle with appropriate recommendations. And second, to go into the past with a view to build a stronger, efficient, and credible electoral system that will stand the test of time. We in the APC are of the view that to achieve these objectives, the committee should review the entire electoral process, including pre-election preparations, voter registration, polling procedures, vote counting, and result announcement. We must also identify any systemic weaknesses or vulnerabilities within the electoral system that may have contributed to alleged or actual electoral rigging. This comprehensive review will allow us to address the contentious issues and enhance the credibility of all future elections, ensuring they are free, peaceful, fair, credible, and transparent. The composition and independence of the committee are of utmost importance. Accordingly, the APC has selected members with proven integrity, experience and expertise in electoral processes, and of patriotic values. It is vital that the committee operates independently, free from interference or undue influence from any external parties. To carry out its work effectively, the committee must be given the necessary authority and powers. It must have access to all relevant documents, records, and information, including election results, voter data, and agreements between the electoral authorities and any third parties. Additionally, the committee shall have the power to summon witnesses, experts, government officials, electoral authorities, political party representatives, and any other individuals necessary for the investigation to go forward. It shall also have the ability to request additional resources, technical expertise, or assistance from relevant national and international organizations. The investigation and assessment conducted by the committee should be thorough and comprehensive. All evidence, including witness testimonies, official reports, video recordings, voter complaints, and other relevant data related to alleged electoral irregularities must be collected and analyzed. The committee should conduct interviews and consultations with various stakeholders involved in the electoral process in order to verify the accuracy, the integrity, and transparency of the entire electoral process. Furthermore, it must examine the conduct of election officials, training procedures, recruitment procedures, impartiality, and compliance with electoral laws and regulations. Any financial or material resources that may have been misused or inappropriately allocated during the electoral process should also be analyzed and fully accounted for. Based on investigation and assessment, the committee should provide a comprehensive report outlining its findings, conclusions, and recommendations. If evidence of electoral rigging is found, the report should clearly identify the methods used, the actions involved, and the impact on the fairness and integrity of the elections. Necessary actions and reforms should be recommended, including subsequent improvements or amendments to the electoral laws, processes, procedures, and regulations. The report should also highlight any actions that need to be taken against individuals or entities responsible for electoral irregularities, including possible legal consequences or dismissals. Transparency and accountability should be paramount throughout the process. All activities, proceedings, and documents related to the committee's work must be conducted transparently and made accessible to the public while respecting privacy and confidentiality constraints. Regular updates should be provided to the general public and relevant stakeholders as well regarding the process, findings, and emerging issues during the investigation. The ruling government and the opposition party should be given the opportunity to submit relevant information, evidence, or concerns to the committee, ensuring fair representation of their perspectives. Finally, the final report of the committee's findings, along with its recommendations, should be published. This will ensure accountability and also enable the public and other concerned citizens and stakeholders and other authorities to take appropriate action. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate the importance of the tripartite committee and its role in addressing the political impasse and laying a solid foundation for the democratic future of our beloved nation. This is a monumental step in rebuilding Sierra Leone and restoring public confidence in our election processes. By adhering to the terms of reference, copies of a draft, which I will soon present, to be agreed by the co-chairs and members of the committee, we can work towards achieving a legacy of free, fair, peaceful, credible, and non-violent, transparent elections in the future. It is my hope that this committee will pave the way for a more inclusive, democratic society where the voices of all citizens are heard and respected. The committee is and must be restricted to its partners only, in tandem with the agreement, supported by accredited experts. Its meetings and deliberations are exclusively for its members. No actions or decisions must be taken by any party unilaterally. The general public can be engaged in the committee's outreach programs. I am praying that common sense will prevail so that we can win for the people of Sierra Leone and for God Almighty. We are their ultimate hope for the peace, unity, freedom, prosperity, and democracy our people so desperately yearn for. Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in this tripartite committee, we have one choice, one chance, one responsibility, and one Sierra Leone. I therefore urge the committee to uphold their sacred responsibility for the good of the people and country. Permit me also, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, to crave your respect and indulgence for us to be upstanding and observe a moment of silence as we remember all those who by death have been victims of electoral violence. With respect. May the souls and the souls of faithful departed rest in perfect peace, and may light perpetual shine upon them. Thank you very much. Full and urgent application of the agreement, in particular, Resolution 4, will also restore hope and confidence in our country. At this point, it is my singular honor, to now present a draft of our TUL to Dr. David Shenge for the government and UN Res Rep for the development partners. I thank you so much for listening. God bless Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samura Kamara. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, the Honorable Vice President, the leader of the APC, to leaders, we've had you. We had your recognition that there's a joint commitment by yourself and His Excellency for peaceful outcome. We're also pleased that in your presentation, in your statement, you had a lot of nationalistic sentiments pointing towards Sierra Leone and Sierra Leone's future. We recognize that the review will be forward-looking to be comprehensive, and Sierra Leoneans are waiting for the recommendation. Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Samura Kamara. It now gives me the honor to call upon a representative from the side of the government of Sierra Leone and the person of Dr. David Emson, the Chief Minister of the Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome.
His His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio, the Honorable Vice President, the UN Resident Coordinator, the leaders and chairmen of all political parties, and in particular the APC and the SLPP, ministers, members of parliament, members of the diplomatic corps, senior advisors of governments, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The journey that has resulted into this gathering today was challenging and in some instances difficult. Others thought impossible. But with perseverance, as a country, we have triumphed. My job really is to thank different parties before His Excellency launches the committee today. So I'll start by thanking our international partners who have provided the much needed support in various forms in facilitating this process. And we remain grateful, especially to the mediators who were drawn from the African continent. And in those rooms, the African spirit of give and take prevailed. And in the end, all Sierra Leoneans won. The consensus reached by the parties, that is the government of Sierra Leone and the All People's Congress, gave birth to the Agreement of National Unity, which has provided an opportunity for the political actors in the state to meet and reflect on the national electoral system and recommend pathways to guide future electoral processes in the country. We hit a reset button with an eye to the future. We'll commence this journey as a united country working towards further refining our future electoral systems. And it is incumbent on all of us to ensure that we remain focused, dedicated to the objectives as will be set out in the terms of reference to be agreed on under the leadership of the three main parties. We've received the draft terms of reference, and this will be handed over to the government nominee that His Excellency has so appointed. Thank you. There is equally the need for the parties to remain sincere and keep the interests of the nation in mind as we set out to execute the national responsibility that will soon be entrusted to the committee members by His Excellency, the President. In the 3 days that we spent in Bintamani Hall as the chief government negotiator, from Monday 16th, Wednesday 18th, and with all the members from the government side and with the APC, there was a huge demonstration, Your Excellency, of nationalism and a sense of national belonging displayed by the members from both sides of the APC and the government. This is something I'm sure was to the admiration of everyone, and many of us will never forget the conversations that we had in those rooms. The spirit of oneness was a catalyst that enabled us to reach consensus, leading to the signing of the Agreement of National Unity. I'm sure that same spirit will move into the operations of the soon-to-be-launched committee that will engage and energize its members to undertake their assigned tasks successfully. I want to thank the APC leadership for their constant engagement throughout this process, including very late last night calls. As we meet to support His Excellency and President Julius Maada Bio to undertake this formal launch, we must also have in mind that it is incumbent on all of us, the stakeholders in the national political ecosystem, to ensure that we work towards building a united Sierra Leone, where the government will have the opportunity to create the much needed enabling environment for each and every citizen to realize their fullest potentials. Thank you for your continued support as we slowly implement everything in the agreement, one resolution after the other. And the work that is envisaged by the committee that will soon be launched, there's going to be continuous need for third-party accompaniment. It is therefore my call to the development partners, the CSOs, and the media to make themselves available and to provide as much and diverse resources to support this process as possible. There's need for patience as the committee prepares to go to work. And so I'll therefore remind all of us to provide that support, but to equally allow the team to engage and to do so unfettered, so that in the end, the recommendations will be made after their work has been completed, will be compatible with the political and governance aspirations of all Sierra Leoneans. Your Excellency, before kindly inviting you to launch the review process, kindly allow me to read the names of the members as nominated by the APC, which you have so graciously accepted fully in its wholesome state, the government nominees, and other presidential nominees to reflect the inclusivity and diversity that this body represents. The co-chairs, the UN Resident Coordinator, Dr. Emmanuel A.R. Gaima, and Dr. Kelfala Mara. The expanded committee members, list of nominated members from the All People's Congress. Dr. Kelfala Mara, co-chair, Dr. Richard Conte, Ambassador Almami Petito Kurma, Boniface Sidiki Kamara, David Fona, Madame Bernadette Kabo, and Prince Tolly. The list of nominated members from the government of Sierra Leone: Dr. Emmanuel Gaima as co-chair, Honorable Dr. Famata Hassan, Madame Aissatou J. Kaba, Honorable Helen Kuyembe, Honorable Umaru Napoleon Kuruma, Honorable Alpha Sise, and retired Honorable Justice Komba Kamanda. List of other presidential nominees. From the civil society, one representative from the Institute of Governance Reform, and one representative of the 50-50 Women's Group. One representative from the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, one representative from the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, and one representative from the National Council of Civic Education and Democracy. To remind everyone, they are a list of moral guarantors that the All People's Congress and the government had jointly accepted to, and I'll like to read that before I conclude. The ECOWAS, the African Union, the Commonwealth, the United Nations, the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, the Women's Forum, the National Council of Paramount Chiefs, the Sierra Leone Labour Congress, the Children's Forum Network, a district youth representative, the Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, Honorable Vice President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me sincere and true honor as Chief Minister to have been part of this process up to now as the Chief Government Negotiator. And I remain committed to working with the team that you have so generously accepted their nomination throughout this process. And with that, Your Excellency, I would like to kindly invite you to launch the committee. Thank you.
Let's sit down, please. The Honorable Vice President, the Chief Minister, the leader of the All People's Congress Party, my friend and brother, former parish mate, and team, ministers and deputy ministers, the UN Resident Coordinator, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, political party leaders and representatives
present here today, the media, civil society representatives, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are once again gathered here today as stakeholders of this great nation to advance, strengthen, and deepen our democratic commitments and credentials as a nation. A creed that we all believe in and most dearly cherish. We gather to show the world that our commitment to peace, unity, and national prosperity is bigger than our political and individual differences, and that our individual differences and interests must have a common place in our shared national interest. We could recall that following my re-election in June 2023 this year, and the post-election concerns raised about the conduct of the multi-tier elections, I proposed the setting up of a National Electoral Systems Review Committee with a view to strengthening the institutional, legal, and operational regime for future elections. I note with utmost satisfaction and pride that during the inter-party dialogue facilitated by ECOWAS, the African Union, Commonwealth, under the auspices of the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, the parties adopted a 7-point resolution as a framework agreement for national unity and cohesion. My proposal for electoral systems review was adopted as a third resolution. Let me therefore thank the leadership of the main opposition party, the All People's Congress, most especially the national leader, my friend and brother, Dr. Samura, as well as the team from the government led by Dr. David Senge, for those 2 days heart-to-heart conversations as Sierra Leoneans, and for agreeing on a pathway to reconciling our political differences. Once I was briefed of the outcome of the facilitated dialogue, I immediately took steps to implement Resolution 1 and indeed addressed the nation on October 24th. I also note with delight that the main opposition has delivered on resolution number 2 by bringing an end to their non-participation in governance. Thank you, Mr. Leader and team. Today, we are giving effect to resolution number 3, which is the constitution of the tripartite committee for the review of the electoral systems and management bodies. The announcement and launch of this 3-way committee involving government, development partners, and the main opposition is indeed an important step to building systems, collectively working together, addressing the issues that affect our people and democratic process, and more importantly, institutionalizing dialogue in our body politic. Political dialogue is not a sign of weakness, as some may want to perceive it. Rather, it is a symbol of our commitment to peace and national cohesion. After the general elections of 2018, my administration instituted a national peace and reconciliation dialogue. And one of the outcomes of that engagement was the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. The Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion has been very pivotal in bringing together international partners to foster political dialogue after the June elections, and the outcome of which is the reason why we are here today. This is a testament that although our democracy might not have matured as we want it, yet we are a growing democracy that has endured and continued to surmount immense challenges. We are fulfilled that together with our partners, we can dialogue and deepen the spirit of congeniality rather than projecting our self-interest and vain glories. As president, I'm delighted that a three-way committee we are unveiling today is a homegrown initiative drafted in my address to the 6th Parliament on the 3rd of August this year. I made that pronouncement with a firm belief that systems and institutional development, as well as inter-party consensus building, can help resolve most of the bottlenecks and impasses in our political and socio-economic environment. Let me therefore express my gratitude to all partners, local and international, who are supporting our research for common ground and helping to bolster our electoral mechanism. Let me pledge my government's unflinching commitment to the work of the committee we are launching today and to ensuring the full implementation of the remaining resolutions contained in the agreement of the dialogue. It is therefore with pride and honor that I formally launched the Independent Three-Way Committee on Electoral Systems and Management Bodies Review. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the statement. We'll have photo opportunity for the three speakers and His Excellency the President and the RC, and then after that, the national anthem. And thank you very much. So please.
For the first set of photos is the leader of the Sierra Leone People's Party and the leader of the All People's Congress, kindly. And then after that, the chairman and secretary generals will join them. Thank you. The chairman and secretary generals can please join. Yes, you're joining. Oh, you're joining them. Okay, sure, the four, that's fine. And then after that, then the speakers. And then the people who spoke. So the UN resident coordinator, the VP, and myself. Thank you.
National anthem, please. Kindly permit His Excellency to recess and then we'll join. Dr. Samura Kamara, please, you can join your brother. You want to join the Vice President? Okay, Dr. Samura Kamara and delegation, and then we'll have our members of the diplomatic corps, cabinet ministers, and the rest of us. Thank you very much for the opportunity of making this happen.